The I Am an Entrepreneur Summit is brought to you in association with FNB and our partners.
We have two business owners, Karabo and Temba, who've come on the show today to find out from our panel of business bozzers whose bank is keeping things real.
Temba, what does your bank cost your business?
You see, I pay R5 for the account and about 500 Rand for the payment device.
And you, Karabo?
Well, with FNB, their app turns my phone into a payment device, so our customers pay us on the spot. I also get Mahala Charge, unlimited card swipes, and a free business savings account that allows me to set aside money from my main account for future projects. Oh, and we can also withdraw money for petty cash at no extra cost from a Checkers and other retailers.
And the monthly account fee?
0 monthly account fee. That's why it's called First Business Zero.
Well, it looks like we've got a winner, ladies and gentlemen. It's obvious which bank keeps the costs low while running your business or even just starting up. One simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
And we are back. Hello everyone and welcome to the 5th I Am an Entrepreneur Summit in association with FNB and our partners Renault and ShopRite. My name is Matsi Mudise. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm so excited to be your host this morning. Let's be honest, last month was intense. We have a very beautiful country, but it also has its problems of inequality and disproportionate opportunities. Why should someone wake up hungry and without a job to go to? Why should someone loot and burn things down for us to get their attention? We certainly have a long way to go, and that is why the work that we are doing at I Am an Entrepreneur is vital to building our country. Thank you for being part of us and being part of this journey. Today's theme is about personal growth and development. I'm a big fan of doing the inner work. It's so important because what happens inside is what really reflects outside. Leadership is an inside job. You need to lead from a place of your staff having faith and not having fear in you. Today we'll cover all aspects and elements of personal growth and how it transcends into leadership growth. We want you to be here with us this morning. We want you to be part of the conversation. So if you're joining us via YouTube or Facebook Live, please join the conversation by posting in the comment section. Tweet us at IAAESA using hashtag IAAE Summit. And those of you who are on our data-free stream, you can send us a WhatsApp on 078 350 0768. Now, the question I want you to reflect on and to think about is, what qualities do you think great leaders have? And what does investing in yourself as a leader mean to you? Now, to set up the scene, we are going to have a conversation with Sihlo Bolani, who is the CEO of Sihlo Bolani Consulting, and who is an organizational cultural strategist, career coach, and an author. She will share her views on the importance of personal growth and how to apply practices as an entrepreneur in your own business.
My name is Sihlo Bolani and I'm an organizational culture strategist, a podcaster, a career coach and author of the book titled We Are the Ones We Need, The War on Black Professionals in Corporate South Africa. I always thought that I would be in corporate until I was at least in my mid-40s. But corporate had a very interesting way of forcing me into entrepreneurship when I did not think that I was ready. And that's essentially because I found myself in a very toxic work environment where I left without a job, without a plan B. And it led me through a very winding road of about 5 years of trying to figure out exactly what it is that I'm trying to do, or what it is that I'm passionate about, or even what my purpose is, to be quite honest. But it wasn't until my book came out that I really became very clear about what it is that I wanted to do, where I want to lend my voice, and what it is that I wanted to fight for. And that was really around ensuring that I work to contribute towards the creation of workplaces that are safe, equitable, fair, and equal for all employees, and particularly Black women. Self-mastery for me really begins with the journey of beginning to learn yourself. So many of us grow up believing that, we know who we are purely on the basis of what we have been taught growing up, the beliefs that have been instilled within us, and what society expects from us, and the standards that it has set for us. And for me, my personal journey of self-mastery has involved having to go back to the beginning, getting to know myself all over again, learning to understand who I am, what my voice is, what my passions are, what are the things that I feel passionate about, and what triggers that passion, where does it come from? And it led me to also then have to understand what the traumas are that I'd been holding on to and wasn't necessarily conscious of, and go through a real journey of healing to be able to understand then what does my authenticity look and feel like for me. And then that then enabled me to begin to align to what my own values are according to my own definitions, according to what is true to me. And that really has translated itself into everything, my personal relationships, my professional relationships, as well as the work that I do. Personal development for me involved therapy, it involved working with a coach, it involved a lot of reading, a lot of learning from other people's journeys. I know a lot of people will focus a lot on wanting to work with mentors because a lot of people believe that, the key to them getting to the next level is working with a mentor. But, what's been important for me in this journey is understanding that everybody that you interact with, everybody that you see on social media, being able to curate who you follow and the content that you see, everybody plays a role that teaches you something that helps you as part of your personal development journey. And so I think one of the most important things for me has been to have an open mind about where I can learn and not be so rigid about, I'm only going to learn from people who are multi-millionaires because they are the only ones who have the answers. Because even they have people that they learn from as well. And I think one of the other things is just being open to continuous learning. None of us are ever at a point where we know and understand everything about life, about work, about our careers, or about our finances. And being humble enough to understand that and being open to the process of learning is such an important and critical part of that personal development journey. Taking the time to invest in yourself is one of the most important and one of the most valuable investments you will ever make. What's happening now, what we have exposure to now, the tools that we're using now, the industries that we're in now may be completely different in 5 years. And we need to start approaching our learning with that lens that says, we don't know what the future holds, but how best can I position myself and prepare myself for the uncertainty that lies ahead. When employees join an organization, they join from a point of having a skill set that is suited for a particular role that they've applied for. But we all understand that when people join an organization or any other form of employment, whoever the employer may be, there is a responsibility as employers to aid their development to help them to get to the next level. So there's a number of things that organizations can do in order to play an active role in developing their employees. For starters, it's being able to do a skills audit to understand exactly what skills each and every employee has and how those skills are enabling them to be able to fulfill their functions to the best of their ability. The second thing is being able to, once you've identified gaps, identify where employees need to be developed further, but also have conversations with them to understand what direction they want their careers to take, because it's not for the employer to dictate what an employee should be doing. I think it's also important for organizations to prioritize budgeting to ensure that when budgets are allocated for training and development, they're done so in an equitable manner. In a lot of organizations, we do see a trend of very specific race and gender groups that are prioritized when it comes to career development initiatives and budgets. And, when we speak about diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace, we are starting to see how so many marginalized groups, and we talk about women, particularly Black women, we speak about the LGBTQI community, who are missing out on opportunities for development that is funded by their employers. And so so many people are finding themselves in a position where they have to personally fund their own development because they understand that in order for them to have access to greater opportunities, to have access to advancement, they have to keep upskilling and reskilling, learning and unlearning. And organizations need to play a much more active role in enabling employees to be able to advance their careers and help them to reach their dream objectives and be able to, work in their dream careers. I think as an entrepreneur, it's incredibly important to understand that as soon as you decide to start a business and decide to hire employees, you're taking on a very big responsibility, one that can never ever be undermined or understated. For starters, it's important as a leader to be able to understand yourself. It's important to be able to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, to also understand what it is that your business is actually, established to achieve. What is your business's purpose? What problem are you solving within society? Because then that'll help you understand the types of people that you need within your organization, the types of skills that you require, but also understanding the type of culture that you need to create in order for you to be able to attract the right kind of people to your organization and to keep them, but also to be able to attract the right types of clients who would be drawn to your culture because it resonates with them. We're living in a world where people are becoming so much more socially aware and are holding organizations a lot more accountable than we've ever seen before. And that's due to a number of reasons. And social media is one of those very, very big reasons. And so it's so important for organizational leaders, and particularly entrepreneurs and those who are, first in their families doing this, starting their own businesses. It's so important to understand that you are the one that sets the tone in your organization. And the way in which you show up, the way in which you treat your employees, the way in which you treat your business is going to influence how your employees behave, how they perform, what results they produce, and how your stakeholders feel about your business. And so it's so important to understand yourself, to understand what areas you need to develop and work on that, but also understanding that when you employ people, if you take that responsibility, even if you're a small business, you have to already be thinking about how you're going to help those people continue to develop their skills. One of the things that often happens in small businesses is you hire people for a particular role and you assume that they're just going to stay in that role because it's a small business and, so you don't develop them further. Or you say you don't have the budget to be able to invest in people's continuous development outside of the workplace. But I think it's important to begin to explore other opportunities because employee satisfaction plays a key role in terms of productivity within the workplace, along with remuneration. And so find other solutions that will enable them to learn the necessary skills so that they can be able to pour into the organization from a place of good faith, knowing that the employer is also operating from a place of good faith, but also understanding that people aren't going to be working for your organization forever. Make peace with that and understand that people will grow and develop and spread their wings in different directions, but build an organization that is enabling of them to be able to do that. Because when people feel free, when people feel that they can show up authentically, when people feel supported in their roles, but also in the goals that they have for themselves, their careers and their personal goals, then they tend to pour so much more into the organization and the work that they do, which ultimately benefits you as the entrepreneur and the bottom line of your company.
Such great wisdom, Sihle. Self-development, self-mastery, self-care. Let's not underestimate the power of self-development. I personally used to think that having a therapist or a performance coach was being soft and wishy-washy, but it's actually not. It's investing in your own ability to be a better leader so that you can yield better outcomes. They help you think and help you see things in a different way. It's worth every minute and worth every penny that you spend on them. And in essence, they should be part of your A team. Up next, we have the Business Doctor, which takes a snapshot into quick fixes and important insights for your business.
Hello, entrepreneurs. Today's topic, personal growth and development. What to talk about here? We're really leaving the business and compliance behind. So I thought I'll share a mode or lessons that I've learned in my journey just to help me in my growth perspective. Lion mode. What is the lion mode? In the jungle, the giraffe is the tallest, the cheetah is the fastest, the fox is the wisest, and the elephant is the biggest. Yet with all these characteristics, the lion is known as the king of the jungle. Why? The lion is courageous, bold, walks with confidence, dares anything and never afraid. The lion believes that it is unstoppable. The lion is a risk taker. The lion believes that any animal is food for him. The lion believes that no opportunity is left to chance. And the lion never lets any opportunity slip away from him. This really reminded me of entrepreneurs and what we do on a daily. Our resilience, right? You really don't need to be the biggest, the tallest, the wisest, the smartest, the fastest. So what do you need? Courage, the will to try, faith to believe that it is possible, and to believe in yourself and believe that you can do it. So in summary, let's wake up every day in lion mode. We don't leave any opportunity to chance. In real entrepreneurial spirit, lion mode it is.
I call her Dr. Kitu Metsulikaba, our resident business doctor. And in this month, she reminds us that being an entrepreneur, you need to have all those animal instincts in order to survive the business jungle. Remember, we would love to have you here with us. We would love to hear from you. So if you're joining us via YouTube or Facebook Live, keep posting in the comment section, via Twitter at IAAESA using the hashtag IAAE Summit. And if you're joining us via our data-free stream, send us a WhatsApp on 078 350 0768. After the break, we will be back with Viewpoint, hosted by our esteemed Mr. Jeremy Maggs. Stay tuned.
Mzansi, welcome back to the Changeable Show. Now, our contestant Keegan is in the final round, competing for 1 million rand.
Okay, Keegan, this is it. For 1 million rand, what can you do for your business on your bank's app?
I don't want to risk it, so I'm going to call my banker.
Keegan's calling his banker. Relax, he'll pick up.
Unfortunately, all our bankers are currently unavailable.
Keegan!
Hey son, Masakant. Clearly you're not with FNB. If you were on the FNB app, you could chat securely Nama business bankers 24/7. Change your PIN, block and unblock your card, make payments, all on one app. Switch to SA's best digital bank, where one simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables. Switch, man, Kike.
Didn't have to drive here.
The all-new Renault Triber. Space for everything. Renault, most fuel-efficient brand in SA.
And welcome back to I Am an Entrepreneur Summit in association with FNB. Up next is Viewpoint by renowned broadcaster Jeremy Maggs. Here he uncovers some secrets of successful people and shares some key tools that you can apply in your own business.
A very warm welcome to you and to our program Viewpoint, where we try to discover the secrets of successful industry leaders and entrepreneurs and give you tools that can be applied practically in your own business. I'm Jeremy Maggs, and in today's program, we're going to deal with a critical component of business leadership. And make no mistake, this is a critical component. It's about personal growth and development. Let me give you some background here. I think it's fair to say that we live in an increasingly challenging and volatile time. I don't need to mention the public violence that we've seen, the pandemic that we're all dealing with at the moment. And the organizations, I think, that succeed are the ones where leadership has a strong, developed sense of value, underpinned by a deliberate intention around leadership and personal growth. Sounds quite a lot to digest, but we're going to make some sense of it. So today we're going to explore very simply with two special guests why personal leadership is integral to organizational leadership. So I mentioned that we have two special guests today, and both of them bring real color and dynamism to this conversation, both in terms of their personal as well as their professional backgrounds. And I hope they will provide very different approaches to the entire personal development journey. Our first guest is Andiswa Bata, and she is passionate about the development of entrepreneurs. Who is she? Well, has won awards for developing financing solutions for women over the past decade or so, and she's been in the banking sector for about the same amount of time, and is focused on our audience specifically today as the joint head of SME at First National Bank. We're going to talk personal development, but also the money side with her. Sitting next to her is Welili Maleka, a trained lawyer turned economic development specialist, and now a leadership and professional development practitioner, as well as a facilitator at the University of Pretoria in their senior leadership development program. She is also a change management partner at the Progressus digital platform, as well as chief executive officer of Camber Coaching and Consulting. Folks, a very warm welcome, and I'm looking forward to an honest, robust, and interrogative conversation about personal development and that nexus with entrepreneurship. And Andiswa, I want to start with you. You sit squarely in that space of assisting entrepreneurs. People with a big vision, people with a big dream, people who see the future as something bright and wonderful. How important, in your opinion, is that notion of personal development when it comes to starting a business?
Very, very important because, as we know, entrepreneurs, you tend to be the jack of all trades when you're starting because you've thrown your entire sweat, your savings, and maybe even some tears into starting and growing a business. So you're the sales guy, you're the marketing guy, you're the recruitment team, and at the same time, you're also trying to be the accountant. And in the middle of all of that, it can then sometimes be difficult as an entrepreneur to recognize that there are some things that are actually missing in your toolkit. So pure skills development is quite important for you as the business owner. But also, as your business then grows, as you seek to access new markets, you hire more people, it is important to also have checkpoints where you identify your own leadership gaps and management gaps as the business owner, because there could even be a time when you're no longer the right person to take that business to the next level. And without the right conversation and the right reflection from a personal development perspective, it can be very difficult to identify those.
Does FNB put a premium on the personal development conversation at the get-go?
We try to. And with millions of clients, it is obviously sometimes quite challenging actually to reach each and every one. But with various social impact labs and various entrepreneurship programs, one of the very first questions we like to ask is exactly that, is the why behind a business and where you're looking to take it, and a reflection on you yourself as the entrepreneur and your role in that.
So, Welili, good afternoon and a warm welcome to you. Why is the why so important?
The why really is going to give you a clear opportunity to chart a very robust plan around what you're trying to achieve. So if your why is not clear, you're really going to struggle to keep the focus on where you're going. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs lose that focus as they're going about their day-to-day life. So it's always important to have a clearly stated why, and to always keep cross-referencing back to it in whatever it is that you're doing.
So how do you seed or start the conversation with an entrepreneur about the why? Because I'm assuming that often people don't think about that. They have one thing in mind, and that's to get rich quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. But how are you planning on getting rich? So, for instance, if you say to me, well, let's take a look at me. Maybe that's a good example. Is my why is I'm passionate about people. I want people to be developed. My career has taught me about a glass ceiling, and I've wanted to understand why it exists and how do I penetrate that glass ceiling. But I didn't understand that at the beginning. It's something that literally took a coach sitting down and saying to me, I get that, but why? I get that, but and why? So it's about what we call the appreciative inquiry. And you keep at it, Jeremy, until there's a very clear sense of purpose that has been articulated by your coachee or entrepreneur in this regard. Yeah.
What should define the sense of purpose? Is it a mission statement? Is it a list of accomplishments that you want to achieve? What is it?
It's actually a vision. It's actually a vision. And a vision always has to have a higher purpose. So what should define it for you is, what do I think is the value that I bring to this? And what is the belief that I'm attaching to believing that this is something that's fundamental and therefore something worthy to bring to the table and offer to people?
The purpose and the vision can change, though, can't it?
No.
So
I don't believe it should ever change.
Once you've put your flag in the sand, that's it.
Yeah. Your goals can change, but not your vision.
So describe to me then the difference between goals and purpose and vision.
Okay, so let's think about it. A clear goal for me would be making money. That for me is a goal. That's not a purpose. It can never be a purpose. My purpose is to provide a service. So let's look at the COVID space. Maybe I decide that I want to create some form of offering around mental health because there's a need in the country right now. We're expecting that people are seriously challenged emotionally and psychologically, and I want to have an offering. That for me is a vision. There's a reason I want to do it. I believe in the wellness of the being, because that translates to a family, to a community, to the country. And I think I said earlier that for me it's important that you have a really higher purpose articulated in your offering. So once I have that, the next logical question, and that's where you're talking about meeting at the happy place, is how do I then make money out of it? And that
to the people quotient of our conversation now. And I like the phrase that you used, reading the mood in the room. So it's also about reading the mood within your own organization, and it's about the importance of personal development of staff. There will come a point in the entrepreneurial journey where that becomes increasingly vital. What markers do you need to put down as you start to develop your staff? And maybe even relate it, if you can, Willile, to where we are right now in the pandemic space.
I think just rounding off from what Andis was saying is it starts for me with the culture that you want to build in the organization. And something that has become increasingly important in my space is the importance of building a culture of honor, because that's what's going to get you to respond compassionately, empathetically, and just to really see people in the space. And if it's just about go, punch, push, then, I just start to feel like a number. That's not where you're going to get your creativity, the best critical thinking, analytical skills. All the things that we're told are fundamental now are actually being proven to come from a space of deep empathy and compassion. And so therefore, as an entrepreneur, it's about understanding that I am the company, I am the culture. And if I honor people, then that starts to embed as it permeates into the language of my organization.
Difficult to find the balance sometimes between the push culture that you refer to and the empathy. Is that by the very definition of entrepreneurship, it is a high-octane space. So there's got to be a certain amount of, I don't want to use the word aggression, but there's got to be a certain amount of assertion within the environment. You would agree with that? How does an entrepreneur find the balance?
And I think it's important to have that, because one thing that we've also observed over the last 18 months
particularly with entrepreneurs, and which ones have been able to change course if they've had to make tough decisions, move with the times, has been their ability to assert a slight change in course, to be able to take control of a situation, to shake off the fear factor. Because frankly, when there is so much going wrong in the world, it can also be very overwhelming. And if you don't have that in you, that ability to pick up the baton and run with something and push through, then frankly, it can be quite easy to also give up. So I think it is important for entrepreneurs to stand their ground, to have that assertion actually, because it's in that they're able to provide leadership and the right guidance in those tough times.
But be nice about it.
So, no, be trustworthy. I think that's actually what is the magic here. I use an equation that I think is really, really powerful. Trustworthiness is about my credibility plus my authenticity and divided by my self-awareness. So to what level am I able to remove myself and look at a situation openly so that a person actually feels it's about them and not about me and the interest of the results, which is usually what we will get staff crying about. It's all about the results. I am just a number. I don't matter. So trustworthiness is something that is really worth talking about and investing time in bringing out as a leader, as an entrepreneur in the environment they're operating in.
You've used that word trustworthy a lot in our conversation today. You have, and I think it's important, and I take a lot out of that. All right, colleagues, as we come to the end of this conversation, we've looked at vision and purpose and self-development. We've looked at managing people on their journey within the organization. Now let's talk about the hard, key business metrics in terms of execution, if we can. One is the ability to manage and change innovation within an organization. How do you set about doing that?
About managing it.
All about management now.
Okay.
How do you crack the whip in that respect?
You
don't like the use of the word whip, do you?
No, I don't. And I'm going to take you back to what I said at the beginning around trustworthiness. Do you know that it's been proven that you can crack the whip as hard as you can as long as people feel valued? So it's going to keep going back to that trustworthiness, because what's underpinning trustworthiness? We're talking about not only the courage to stand with your people and walk the hard road with them to get the results that you're passionate about. But you're talking about the vulnerability to be able to say, guys, it's not going right. What are we doing wrong? Let's talk about it. Let's do the hard rumble. And as long as I feel that your attention is really on what I've got to contribute, then I'm going to show up strongly. And we need to start trusting people around that. That's why I keep using the trustworthiness, because if I am trustworthy, then my fruit in the organization is about the language of trust. So people will trust risking showing up. They will trust giving you their ideas because they believe you'll honor them. And even if you tear it apart, that you're doing it for the right reasons. And they can take that. People are robust. They can take the hard. Just create an enabling environment for them to play.
Andiswa, how do you think change should be managed in an organization as the entrepreneur becomes more successful?
I'll focus on one thing, which actually is quite linked to the building of trust and getting the best results out of your people. You need to exhibit you have your team's back, full stop. That, for me, actually is the biggest trust builder. Because then, even when you are cracking the whip, so to speak, they know that it comes from a good place and from good intent, and that all you're trying to do is build a collective future that looks good for everybody. And so I think if you exhibit to your team often enough that you have their back, then frankly, I think even some of the harder conversations actually become very easy.
And that will make the retention of staff a whole lot easier if you develop, as you said, culture.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a growth mindset. And one of the biggest leadership skills that they're talking about now, which is very interesting because it's never been introduced before, is the we mindset. So we mindset, you've got my back. So I've got yours. And we need to understand that reciprocal nature in relationship. It works in our private space, it works in our workspace, and it should never actually be different. It's just a core currency between human beings.
Do you think the we factor is missing a great deal in the South African business space?
I think we've missed the boat, certainly. And I think if we look at what's happening now, isn't that the cry? That you've missed me, you know? Where's my voice? You don't see me. And that's where I think we've been quite unfortunate, is that we haven't, you know, in focusing on the reconciliation, I believe that we've just missed understanding that some things are just as simple as, I'm enough, I matter, I'm here, I'm seen.
Folks, I want to ask you one question in conclusion. Entrepreneurs who've been watching this conversation today might not be able to get the expert in. They might not be able to reach out and get that circle that you've both spoken about, that circle of mentorship. In your closing remarks, give an entrepreneur one piece of good, sage advice that will kickstart this process of personal development.
Okay. Seek to know who you are. That's really the starting point of anything. Because if I know what makes my heart beat, then I'm able to show up authentically in any kind of setup. And, you know, our values change all the time, and I think it's something that we don't recognize, that they're not static, but who you are shouldn't be interchangeable. So once you have a strong sense of who I am and what I value about that, then I'm able to value what Andiswa brings and who she is. And then again, it goes to that honoring mindset that if I create that culture, then I'm creating a space of responsiveness, of creativity, and of collectivism that I think has become very important in our space.
Well, Lily, you have closed that circle so beautifully for us. And this, I'll give you the final word. Seek to know who you are. That gives us a lot of food for thought. What would your advice be?
I think in addition to that, as scary as it is to acknowledge, the last year has shown us how disruptive the world can be and how easily a business leader or entrepreneur can easily just be taken out of the game of running their business. And so for me, in addition to that, I think what's very important is what legacy are you trying to leave? Because that will then keep you honest about making sure you put in place the right succession planning, that everything does not all live in your head, that you have to make sure that other people in your team know exactly who you speak to and what your network is to solve this problem and do that, and how you usually unlock this contract and do whatever. Because frankly, if for whatever reason you are taken out of the game for a few weeks or a few months, you need that business and that legacy to outlive you in a way and to survive, both for yourself, for your own financial stability, for your family, for the ones you leave behind, but actually also for your employees. They need it too.
So no thanks to the two of you, because I'm going to have a sleepless night as I seek to know who I am, as I try to work out what my purpose is. I'm half joking because it's a really important thing to get to grips with. I thank you both for the most fascinating conversation. Now, to catch the rest of this very fascinating conversation, I'm going to ask you to head to our I Am an Entrepreneur website. It's iamanentrepreneur.co.za/summits.
What a wow, what a wow. And as you know, it's Women's Month. And so amazing to get great insights by two powerful women, Andiswa and Welile. Some important questions that they asked: what is your why? What is your personal mission statement? And seek to know who you are. These are some of the building blocks of personal development. We're going to take another ad break. Stay tuned and you wouldn't want to miss what's next.
Today on The Changeable Show, we're looking at bankable ways to keep your business on the go.
I'm at Shukushuma Enterprises where the team are stuck in an intense brainstorm.
We can't be a scooter business with a skorokoro payment device, people. I need ideas.
Well, we could switch to FNB, where you can turn all our phones into payment devices.
That way we'll be able to generate QR codes using the FNB app, so that our customers can actually scan to pay right on the spot.
And if we're on the go, we can even send the QR code on an invoice or via message, so our customers can pay wherever they are.
And the funds reflect immediately, which means we can keep track of our business transactions.
Exactly.
Wait, I got it. We could switch to FNB and I can turn all your phones into payment devices. No manini, no magopi.
But that's exactly what you just said.
Yes, but you guys didn't say no manini, no magopi.
Hey, Malum is a genius.
Hey, no manini, no magopi. One simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Africa. Manubala Yesu Bandalayo Yizwa imitandazo yetu Ngosi Sigelela Tina Lusapolayo Murena Buluka Sichabasa Yesu Uvedise Dintwale Maswenyeho Usibuluke, Sichabasa, Yesu, Sichabasa, South Africa, South Africa.
Thanks to everybody that's been communicating with us. So it's time for us to check out some of your comments. Deboho says, thanks, Andiswa. I also firmly believe in starting with what's my why. And we have Jared Jacobs. So important to revert back to my why, but also your functions and operational goals. We have Pomola Mukwele, which is my mother, by the way. Today's topic is more relevant to where we are as a country more than ever. Thanks, mother. And then we also have Nadia Jakavula, lion mode every day. In fact, beast mode. Tuned on. So, thank you very much. We want you to be part of today, want you to be part of this conversation. So for those of you who are joining us via YouTube or Facebook Live, keep posting in the comment section. Via Twitter at IAAESA using the hashtag IAAE Summit. And via our data-free stream, send us a WhatsApp on 078 350 0768. Well, now it's word of mouth, which is about sharing inspired, but you certainly have to watch the space. Here is word of mouth.
My name is Digeledi Selega. I am a business performance coach. I am also a transformational speaker, a strategist, and a philanthropist. I am the founding director of Dynamic Teams Coaching, a company that is based in Johannesburg, but work with entrepreneurs in Africa and nationally in the country. Dynamic Teams Coaching Company is an active coaching and consulting company which provides leadership coaching, employee engagement, strategy facilitation, and implementation model to our clients. Wow, biggest learning as an entrepreneur. I mean, it really has to be patience. I've learned to be patient, and I've learned to also equally appreciate the process. My name is Digeledi Selega. I am an entrepreneur.
Hi, my name is Kevisa Mavaso and the founder of Kulanami Groups, known as Kulanami. I've got two divisions in my business at the moment, which is jam making and poultry farming. The business was established in 2020, but only started trading in 2021. My homemade jams are made from fresh fruits, which I collect from farms locally here in Gauteng. The reason of starting my business is why does an entrepreneur start a business? Because of passion. I did not know that this was my passion. In all honesty, I just took a chance, and as I was getting into it, I truly, truly love it. My jam making was made in the memory of my grandmother, and from there, I just took it off. I am Geretse, and I am an entrepreneur.
Hi, I am Sharon the Freelancer, a seasoned event manager with 10 years experience in both live as well as virtual events. I founded Sharon the Freelancer brand 5 years ago when I saw a gap in the market to bring in a skilled project manager on a consultation basis. I offer technical knowledge, training, strategic vision, and creative judgment in the corporate event management industry. Courageous innovation, unbounded creativity, rapid evolution, and most importantly, reliability. One of my greatest lessons as an entrepreneur is that systems and processes are there for a reason. They are the pillars that uphold our vision as well as business goals. Therefore, imperative that they are exercised. I am Sharon the Freelancer, and I am an entrepreneur.
Hi, my name is Tsepo Peterson, and I'm the founder and director of Frank Tandi Tsepo Transport, popularly known as FTT Transport. We are a services company providing our clients with an array of road transport services, such as private shuttles, corporate events, specialized tours, holiday packages, and of course my favorite, scholar transport services. What makes us great is the fact that all our drivers have a level 1 first aid certificate and have valid PDP licenses. My biggest lesson as an entrepreneur has to be the fact that yesterday's problems provide a solution for today's problems. My name is Tsepo, and I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh, they are so cute. Well, if you think you have a great business story to share and you want to be featured on the next Word of Mouth, please email us on info@iamanentrepreneur.co.za. And who knows, it could be you next. Charles W. Eliot, former president of Harvard, once said, "Books are the quietest and the most constant of friends. They are the most accessible and the wisest of counselors and the most patient of teachers." Our very own Hudisani Ravelo chats with Loyiso Mdebuka, who shares his own wise counsels and favorite books for entrepreneurs.
Welcome to On the Bookshelf. Joining me today is one of my favorite humans on earth, but professionally, I must introduce him as what he does in his real life. He is the director and co-founder of marketing communications as well as experiential agency Blank Canvas. His name is Loyiso Mdebuka, and he's joining me from Cape Town. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Hello there. Hello there. Such an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
My friend, you once referred me to a book, and since then I was like, nah, my friend is a bookworm. If I'm going to be speaking to entrepreneurs about books that have shaped who they are and their journey, you're definitely one of the people I'd love to speak to. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to jump straight into your first book, 50 Cent. I mean, First of all, the fact that he's an author just blows my mind.
Listen, so funny enough, I can't show you the book physically because it was an audio book. It was actually recommended by a friend of mine who said, you should definitely listen to 50 Cent's audiobook because he narrates the whole book. His voice, because he's a rapper, is so well matched for something like that. Very entertaining. I must have listened to all 12 chapters of the book, I think, in a couple of days. I literally took it running with me. I took it to gym with me. I took it to work with me. And it taught me so many great principles, especially during COVID, about really centering yourself around the things that you want to do. And really, it's kind of like his own blueprint on how to make it.
I love that. The next book that you say you absolutely love, I mean, first of all, I must tell everyone, he shared 10 books with me, and I was like, Puti, please, no, we only have 5 minutes.
5 minutes, like, it was quick. It was like, I knew exactly what I wanted to say.
All right, so this next book is Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. I've heard so many great things about this book. I have not read it. Tell me a little bit more about what it's about and what it did for you.
The reason I love this book so much, right? So this book, right? I actually bumped into a friend of mine on a flight, and we were talking about the books that we were reading, and then he showed me this one, and the first page basically had like pictures, and I was like, wow, this is actually a kind of Matthew McConaughey's journal. And then the second best thing that I did was actually also get the audiobook. And Matthew McConaughey being an actor, a voice artist, an Oscar winner.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Amazing. Yeah. So, in fact, I actually haven't read the physical book. I only got it because I love the audiobook so much and I just wanted to have something physical to have at home. But Matthew McConaughey's book is really just about life lessons around. He has this concept of green lights are when things open up and the universe says, yes, go for the thing that you wanted. And he also has the concept of red lights and orange lights of when sometimes it's not the right time or when God is saying no for this thing to happen right now. And sometimes red lights turn into green lights, and red lights are not always kind of made against you, they're made for you. Sometimes you're just not ready for that opportunity.
That is so true. And don't you find that it happens in business as well, where you sometimes think to yourself, why am I not getting this deal? Ganti, it's actually helping you because you're perhaps not ready as an entrepreneur and you don't have everything in place to scale. So it's kind of like a red for now, but put in the work and it can change into a green light.
Yeah, and as a creative, it was perfect for me because there's this one passage that I keep playing over and over where he says, just to paraphrase, before you can dance, you need to choreograph. Before you can go out there, you need to organize. If you want your creativity to be impactful, you need to organize all your spaces around you. And for me, as a business, I'm sure everyone's learned as an entrepreneur right now, if you had scaled up your business and things weren't going so well, you had to take a few steps back. You had to reorganize yourself so that you can go out and do what you want. So for me, the book came at a perfect time. And funny enough, it is my latest read at the moment.
That's beautiful. Before you dance, you need to choreograph. I am taking that into business. You know, I'm going to say it's your second last book, but it's the last book now. Kaya Dlanga, these things really happened to me. This is one of my favorite reads. Why did you? I was interested to hear why that impacted your entrepreneurial journey.
Okay, 2 reasons, right? So this book, it was the first time that I'd actually picked up a Kaya Dlanga book. I had heard of his books before. And for me, the thing that, other than knowing him personally and wanting to support him, for me, I was just astounded by the way that he writes his words and the fact that he's so, he knows how to express himself. And for me, that's one thing that I really want to learn personally. And then the thing that really, really made me happy about this book is that when he was doing the launches around the country, we were the official stop for him at Lloyd Sessions to do his book drop in Langa of all places.
Wow.
So for me, it brings back such great memories to being able to take such an impactful book into one of the townships that I love in Cape Town and really bringing it closer to the people. And it's really what he's all about. Everything that he writes is about people. So I absolutely love it.
It reminds me of who you are as an entrepreneur. If there's one thing about Uloyiso that you can never disconnect him from, it's his love for home, it's his love for his origins, for his people, and to always take back the great work that you're doing, you know, in the city, in the nice part of Cape Town, and taking it back home to be like, look, we can do the same thing here, and how do I help to empower you? So really, really dope. Your last book is not actually a book, but it's on the list. Your personal journal. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think the one thing that I realized when I was still young is that I was a great writer. You know, I've always been able to express myself in words, and I've realized the impact of your own words on yourself. You know, we all write thoughts, we all go through things. So the thing that I started a couple of years ago was first recording my thoughts verbally. So I use the voice recorder, voice memos on my phone a lot, and then I started writing my thoughts, and they split. So I've got this particular book which has got my name engraved in it, where I'm busy writing a lot of my own thoughts and a lot of the things that I'm learning, because I believe believe that it's impactful to go back and read your own words and all the lessons that you've learned. And guess who might, maybe at one point, a sibling might pick it up and go, hey, this is amazing to read, you know? So I would advocate very much, if you're on the journey of entrepreneurship, for you to keep a personal journal. It'll keep you sane. And then the other book that I've been writing, funny enough, and it's a journal I've been keeping. I've literally been writing letters to my siblings, to my unborn kids, because I don't have kids yet. And I've just been writing letters to them on things that I'm experiencing and things that how they could deal with them. So those are the two parts of my journal, and I think it's super important to have one.
Man, it speaks to the mental health, the soul health of an entrepreneur, because so often you're so focused on looking after your business that looking after yourself is something that we forget as we navigate. Yeah. I love this. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and sharing the reads that you have. And you know what? Forget a sibling reading that personal journal of yours. I see this as a book, man. I don't know. I feel like soon I could be saying, have you read Loyiso Mtebuka's book and how amazing it is?
Dude, I can't. It's a scary thought, but I love the fact that it'll have a positive impact on someone else.
Loyiso, thank you so much for your time. May you continue to write the most amazing things on your business's blank canvas, but also your own personal one as well.
Thank you so much.
Don't we just love bookworms? And Loyiso, thank you so much for sharing all the books that have inspired your personal journey as an entrepreneur, and also the importance of having a personal journal, because of course you are a good writer. We're now going to take another short break, but before we get back to our keynote segment, the Blue Chair, today I'm quite excited because we're going to have somebody very inspirational, a very popular South African celebrity and entrepreneur, Lebogo Proverb Tekiso. Now, that man is cooler than cool. You don't want to miss this. See you in a bit.
Today on The Changeables Show, we've got two competitive best friends, Patrick and Eric, and they're here to settle the score on whose bank is boss.
Thank you, Jason. Gentlemen, it is time to put your faith in your bank. Question number one, what does it cost you to bank with your bank? Eric.
That's easy. 5 rand a month.
I was cool. Did you actually look at that statement? Did you consider how much you pay each month? And up and down to the bank, the petrol. A month, that's close to 100 rand. Do you get anything back? Askis, I'm sorry. Abuti Patrick?
With FNB, I can get up to 3 times my monthly personal account fee back in value, which includes data rewards on my FNB Connect SIM.
Well, Nana.
So then it's obvious. The B in FNB stands for Bossa Bank. Join us again on The Changeables Show, where one simple change will make a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Dad, it's got reverse camera. Come on.
Welcome back. The Blue Chair is upon us. I'm super excited to hear what Brother Proverb has to say about his personal development journey. We want you to be part of this conversation as well. And if you're joining us on YouTube and Facebook Live, please keep posting in the comment section via Twitter at IAAESA using hashtag IAAA Summit. And via our data-free stream, send us a WhatsApp on 078 350 0768. What's cooler than cool, AK?
Cooler than cool. It's my next guest, Mr. Proverb.
I'm so excited. Tell us.
How are you, by the way? Let's start there. You look amazing as usual, and the show is amazing.
I always love this part of the show because you always give me such pleasant comments.
I know which side of the bread my bread is batat, you see, so I must take care of those things.
Thank you, AK.
No, absolutely. We look forward to a great conversation with Pro. He's somebody that a lot of us have admired at a distance. And if we talk about personal growth and development and the ability to almost reinvent yourself over your career and also gift us this wonderful gift to all mankind insofar as just dealing with dark stages of your life and still continuing to thrive. I can't wait to get into it. In fact, I'm quasi scared of the fact that we're not going to have enough time to get through everything, but I look forward to it nonetheless.
Super excited. Let's get right into it.
My name is Tebogo Proverb Tekisho. I am an entertainer, an entrepreneur, an author, and a creative. My entrepreneurial journey started, as my career was progressing. I started off primarily as an entertainer, doing music, doing television, doing radio. But as my career progressed, I began to recognize that it's a business. I also began to recognize that I'm a business. And by virtue of treating myself as a business, I think everything then became entrepreneurial, because from there, you then have to, look at how do you create business, how do you create new business, consider things like branding, brand positioning, the right sort of associations, what kind of business you'd like to go, think about the future of it, the longevity perhaps, but also in the process what to shed. And these are all sort of business decisions that have to be taken. So in the words of Jay-Z, I'm a businessman. So once I've reconciled that I am the business, I think my journey has therefore become entrepreneurial. Personal development, in my humble opinion, there's both a formal and an informal way of doing it. The formal would obviously be to empower yourself, and this is by way of, partnerships, working with the right people, networking, creating, building new relationships, but also, studying and just empowering yourself from that sort of academic standpoint. Informally, it would be, to read up, to sort of, watch YouTube clips and just think so specifically about, where you want to take your brand, what to align yourself with. All of these things, in my humble opinion, make for the building blocks of what self-empowerment means. The role of personal development has really been, a fuel in my business, in that, since being conscious of the fact that I am a business, I'm now making strategic decisions, that feed my business. So one of the bigger and more important ones in my personal life has been studying. I'm very big on property investment, and so I had to do a course on property investment and development, and that has sort of informed the decisions that I've taken since then. But I'm also pursuing a BBA right now at Regenesis Business School, with the long-term goal of doing an MBA. And somebody asked me an important question. They asked, how is this going to change what you're doing right now? And I responded by saying, it just positions me to make more informed decisions, and also just, you almost reevaluate your thinking and how you approach your business. So for me, personal development has played an incredible role in just repositioning what my brand or my value proposition is. So developing myself, as I mentioned, is very important. I think if you don't evolve, then you might as well be a flower that's not being watered. In other words, you might as well be dead. So, it's everything from personal development, by way of, how you think, how you behave, the personal choices that you make. As a father, that's always been very important and key to me. I try and protect my kids, keeping them away from these kind of platforms, which is always interesting how, as an entertainer, my kids have gone for as long as 15 years without being in the space. But that just goes to show how, being protective to them is of utmost priority to me at all times. Then, of course, all the personal development things that I've mentioned already, all of it, man, is all a part of growing and developing, because otherwise you run the risk of being stagnant, of not developing new skills, of working yourself out of a space because you haven't learned anything new. I mean, it's all good and well to be, a musician or rapper or presenter for a good 10, 20 years, but if you learn no new skills, then what happens at the end of that run? What happens if you're no longer the sought after presenter? There's somebody younger, better looking, who's more well-spoken than you are and is ready to replace you. Then what skills do you have? Then another thing we have to think about is how exportable are you? We live in a global world, a global community. You have to be able to apply your skill and your trade anywhere in the globe. Now the question becomes, do you have a skill that you can export? And if not, you need to develop one. That's why this is so important. Some of the downsides, I think, of going on a personal development is that you often have to rebrand, which is sometimes met with a lot of resistance. In my exact example, moving from being an active musician to being a businessman has been, met with a lot of resistance, and I can almost understand that because you spend 15 years building a particular brand, but in order to evolve it, you sometimes have to shed a lot of what it was known for. So that's often a downfall, because then it means your entire clientele only knows you for one certain skill set, and you almost have to just reposition, reintroduce yourself, and almost proverbially start from the beginning and just reposition and rebuild a new brand altogether. The most rewarding, I think, attributes of personal development has been how my business has been able to evolve. With the outbreak of COVID-19 and the subsequent lockdown and so on, I was so grateful to have multiple income streams and diverse income streams, which I don't think I would have been able to position myself had I not empowered myself. So I speak, for instance, as an example, and among a few, but property, for instance, had I not ventured into that as a business, I think I would have definitely been in trouble, like many of my peers. The gig economy has pretty much come to a complete stop. So, if one hadn't diversified and had alternate income streams, I think we would be in trouble. So that has definitely served me well. How I process challenges is I have come to embrace that challenges are a big part of life, and just business. My dad always says you should never plan too much, and I never fully understood it until life really smacked me across the face. So challenges, I think once you embrace that they are a part of life, they are to come, but they're also a great opportunity to learn, to redevelop, to figure out new ways of problem solving. Then I think you approach problems and challenges differently. So I'm at a point in my life now where I actually relish and I enjoy challenges, because they give me an opportunity to develop new skills and to really find new ways of navigating not only business, but life as well. An entrepreneur should be, so focused on constantly developing and evolving, because the world is changing so fast. And if you don't move and adapt with the times, you will be caught, you'll be caught out. I mean, there's many examples. My brain can't help but go to Kodak as an example, if I may. They were dominating the market, but as soon as the digital space came in, they were immediately left out. I remember when the CEO of Nokia made that very famous closing speech, and he said, "We did nothing wrong, but still we lost." And whenever I think of that, I always think to myself, he did do something wrong, and they got stagnant because they were dominating the market. So you may be dominating in your space, you may be, industry leader currently right now, but if you're not always and constantly developing and evolving, you run the risk of getting caught in that particular space. You run the risk of being a one-trick pony. So when the world shifts and moves ahead, then you cannot keep up with the Joneses anymore, so to speak. So my advice would be to constantly develop, always innovate, always looking for new ways to add to your skill set, your offering at all times. It should always be a constant motion.
Wow, wow, wow. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my guest on this Blue Chair this particular month. And I guess he's one of those guys that doesn't really need an introduction. You see him on your TV screens every Sunday night at least. But he's here with us at I'm an Entrepreneur to really talk through the role of personal growth and development in his own journey. He's also the man who's gifted us this wonderful, wonderful gift. By the way, 3 of you guys who are joining us this morning are going to be lucky enough to walk away with copies of these. You just got to make sure you participate on all the social media platforms. Use the hashtag IAAE Summit on Twitter. Of course, use the WhatsApp line as well. Throw us your questions, throw us your comments, and we're going to be sending you the book of Proverbs, the man who wrote about a very dark time in his life, but then in itself may very well have been part of his own personal growth. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on. But first, let me welcome my brother. How are you, Sam?
But Andile, I am so blessed. And how are you keeping? Aye, chilling.
Are you
Cooler than cool, as I'm told.
Cooler than cool. That is your new title yet.
That's
I'm
it.
an entrepreneur.
Yes, sir.
Look, bro, I guess a good place to start is the journey that has transitioned into so many things, right? To people my generation, you were the guy who came up and really led the music genre that was South African hip hop.
Sure.
And you were really good, and you had this career, and you were gonna, be the best, I don't know, hip hop star of South Africa. And then there was a bit of television, some radio, now producing TV shows, leading something like Idols that, I guess you got the shot, you never let go. And now you're involved in so many other things. Talk to me about the logic and the reasoning and the rationale behind that transition over all these years. Why do it? Why don't you just stick with what was working?
But Andile, I think it was all born of a need, realizing that no one vocation was going to get me where I wanted to go. So it wasn't all that thought out. And I suppose talking back at it now, it almost seems like it was always so calculated, and it was, he maneuvered his career brand this way and that. It really wasn't. As just a musician, if I, would gig and I realized the gigs would go quiet, then I would think to myself, where is the next meal coming from? Then you realize, man, I also have to explore my other sort of talents. I've always had the gift of the gab, a big mouth, my mom would say. Let me explore some television.
Yeah.
But even then had its shortcomings because, the spaces were few, were limited. Then I said, okay, let me explore radio. So it was all born from a need, really, to say, how do you just stay active? How do you stay sustaining yourself? And that kind of taught me from very early on in the game to say, always diversify, always have multiple sort of streams and explorations.
Many people could have taken those opportunities that still came as purely as, this is the best opportunity ever. And I'll take one for example, which is maybe hosting Idols.
Right.
To then get to a point where you're not just a host, but you're also involved in the business side of it. To get to a point where you're now working on your own properties, that you gotta go raise capital, you gotta go and talk to broadcasters. You're the one now that's kind of fronting this. You become not talent in front of the camera, but you become the entrepreneur behind these things. Sure. That transition, was it something that you've always wanted, or you were kind of like in it and you thought, well, here's the opportunity, I might as well go for it?
Again, but Andile, because I had to see some of my peers, some of, those who had done it before me, the pioneers, some of the mistakes I think they had made, some of the learnings from their journeys, it kind of offered me the gift of foresight to say the lifespan of an entertainer seems to be brutally and sometimes unfairly short. So what happens, as I say in that clip of mine, what happens if you're no longer the sought-after presenter? Then what? What happens if you're no longer the hit maker, What happens if you just sort of reach your sell-by date, or like soccer, I know you're a big soccer man, if you turn 30, 40, because in soccer circles, you're old, you're finished and you're a has-been. Yeah. So what happens that day after that, So because of that thinking, I had to say to myself, how do I plan for that day as opposed to waiting for it to come? How do I prepare myself to be able to continue even if I'm not the guy in front? And that informed the decisions.
I see. Well, then came this, what I call a gift. Sure. And it's a gift in so many ways, Proverb. I can't tell you, bro. As you said in one interview I read where you said, it's not a book about kind of my personal struggles. Of course, I write about them.
Right.
And you talked about the fact that you're hoping that those who read it can also find a way out of a dark space. Now, part of personal growth and development is finding a way out of the rut.
100%.
Talk to me about the decision to put yourself out there in writing this book.
Like Budloyiso earlier on said, I think it's important that we all, document our story.
Right.
That's first and foremost. Also, for our children, our legacy and the like. But also, if there's an opportunity, where you have learned something significant and you think somebody else can benefit from it, then I think it's even more so important. So part of, the rationale and the reason behind me putting my book together was not to, bring attention and a spotlight to some of my challenges, but rather to say, here are the victories as a result of the challenges. Here's what I learned. And I sincerely believe that it can maybe spark a change in somebody else, because we often have the same or even different challenges, but the lessons remain the same. So if we can exchange that information, then we'll be all better for it. And that's why I decided to pen the memoir.
The memoir, the book of Proverbs.
Yes, sir.
But I could be watching this and going, I look at Proverb, it looks like it's got it all going. I'm in a dark space right now. Times are tough. COVID, I'm trying to deal with COVID. My business has been obliterated. My personal life perhaps is going through all sorts of challenges. And I can't see past this reality that I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
When you look back at your own journey and how you documented it, how should I be thinking through that?
Yeah.
What do I do? Where do I start? Where do I get this energy? Where do I get the courage to get through this dark period? What worked for you?
Yeah. I always had this sense of optimism and always looking ahead. Like I speak of the entertainment career, right?
Yeah.
Because I was always thinking about what happens the day after you're no longer relevant, right? It's the same way I thought about my challenges, to say, you may be going through it now, but think about where you need to be, where you'd like to get that light at the end, and then work backwards to say, all right, what are the necessary steps then to take in order to arrive at that point? So even while I was going through, the worst of it, both personally and even in business, I always try to think about what the end goal is, what the end desire is, where do you like to be, and then work it backwards and say, all right, let me map the steps that I intend to take. And that's how I think anybody and all of us should think about our troubles and our challenges.
Let's talk about self-awareness and kind of knowing who you are. We heard earlier on from one of the ladies when they were talking to Jeremy Maggs about just the importance of knowing who you are.
Yeah.
A very important part of the book that was you talking to the doctor in hospital, and you said something like, "This is not me, man." Right? Talk to me about that ability to know, I've done something, I'm not proud of it, but I know it's not me.
This is not me. No, but this is the thing. This is the thing. And forgive me for repeating and harboring the same point. But in the midst of it all, you always constantly do a self-analysis, even with business. Even when you're not meeting your KPIs, you're not sort of meeting your targets, you're not making the profits, it's just looking like gloom. This isn't me. This isn't my business. This isn't the model. The question then becomes, what is? So if it's in a self-analysis point of view, if you say, this isn't me, then the question to answer is, then who are you? Right? And then you begin taking the active steps to becoming and to shifting accordingly and to repositioning things until you are that person.
You then also now are busy on another journey. So we're still trying to get our head around how the hip-hop star became this amazing
I can still bust a freestyle. Don't even try me with Andy.
We shouldn't go there. All right, cool. We might test him on that. But on the question of, I see you studying a lot now.
Yes, sir.
Doing degrees. I see you serving on boards. And what's that all about?
You know what? So at the beginning of it all, because I didn't really, and this is why I'm loving the content, by the way, I didn't really fully have my why. So I always had the opportunity to study. My folks, bless their hearts, positioned me in such a way that I had the opportunity at my disposal. But because I didn't know my why, I would enroll for IT. But why, man? Am I doing it to pass here? Then I would do sound engineering. Then I would do all these things. And at some point, it was just to satisfy the folks, but also just to have something to fall back on.
Yeah.
But later on in life, which is why I consider myself a late bloomer, with Andile. Later on in life, when I started understanding my why, then I started pursuing studies with a purpose because I knew what I wanted to achieve. So for instance, when I did the property course, it's because I was getting into the property space, my interests were going in that direction. When I did a tax law course, it's because I wanted to understand that so that I can furnish my business accordingly. I remember one of the speakers also saying earlier on that sometimes you're not best positioned, for something that your business needs. But we live in the information age where information, whether formal or informal, is at our disposal. And if we utilize this and you understand your why, then you can plug it in and then you can help your business move forward. So I've been actively, studying. I did a number of short courses. I'm now actively doing a long course, and I'm in my 40s, mind you.
You are only 40.
Well,
so
sure.
Technically, you're not in your 40s. Just putting it out
I've just
there.
entered the 40s. But all in all, it's because I now understand the why, how it fits into what I'm trying to achieve. And again, it all feeds into the end goal, which is where I'm trying to go.
Got you. Well, life does begin at 40. There's a reason they say that.
Guys,
we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back, of course, after this, talking further to Mr. Proverb, our guest at this blue chair in this segment of I'm an Entrepreneur. Keep in mind, you can still send us your questions, and I'll be taking them, in fact, straight after the ad break. So if you are on Twitter, it's #IAAE Summit. Of course, if you're joining us on our Data Free line, you've got the WhatsApp number there. WhatsApp me. I get it right here. All your questions. And of course, if you're on YouTube or Facebook Live, drop us a comment in the comment section and I'll make sure I get through as many of your questions as possible after this.
Mensa vandag on the show, we are talking about living online. Brother Jay, tell us more.
Yes, we are living on the line in the queue. Talk to us, Mazi. Answer.
It's my boss, and I've been here for almost an hour, and all I want to do is just talk to my bank about a loan.
Mazi, what are we doing now?
I don't know.
Why don't you just switch to FNB? What? Yeah, this is SA's best digital bank. And then you can talk to a team of bankers 24/7 right here on the FNB app via secure chat. I'm telling you, you can even find out how much you may qualify for within minutes and apply for a loan right here on the FNB app.
Dango Mjakababa. Toodaloos. Goodbye.
Toodaloos and goodbye.
Salangena. Yeah? One simple change makes a big difference. No manini, no magupi. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables. Labatsena.
Nkosi sikeleli Afrika Maluphakanyisa uphondo lwayo Yizwa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikelela thina lusapho lwayo Murena buluka sitshaba sa Yesu Ufedise dimthwale maswenyeho Usibuluke sitshaba Yesu sitshaba South Africa South Africa
Am I the only one that every time you hear the national anthem, you expect vuvuzelas to follow? Because I'm still there. I'm still stuck with ba 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 ba. Anywho, we got to continue the conversation. And I'm here with my man Proverb. And I see your questions are coming. Thank you very much to everybody who's throwing them in. I'll try and get through as many as possible. So let's start with Spusiso. So Spusiso from Arc Vision Energy Depot. His question is, my question is, at what phase or stage can one invest in personal development? Also, how do I ensure that I balance the time dedicated to my business and also the time dedicated to personal development?
Sure. I think that's a great question. Thank you so much, Butzbu. I think personal development is a constant process. I don't think it's any kind of once-off. I don't think there's a point that you reach where you decide that it's necessary to happen. I think it's a constant, ever-moving exercise that you need to constantly be developing, not only yourself, but also for the sake of your business. And as one of our speakers spoke about earlier but to empower your team as well, to always constantly be developing. So I think it's a constant process. As far as allocating resources in terms of time, I think it should be worked into the business strategy.
How do you do it? Because you got lots on your schedule, man.
Sure.
But you still find time to do your studies. You got to go to rehearsals. You're chasing business opportunities. You're shooting your current couple of shows. How do you make sure that there's enough time for everything, including your personal life?
But Andile, this is going to hit you on the chest. One thing at a time. Kifedid drops mic.
Boom! Proverbs style.
That's it.
Okay, all right, we're going to keep it moving. By the way, keep in mind that I have a gift for you. I don't want to forget this. Book of Proverb, it's available to you. Send me your questions and comments. We're going to be sending to 3 lucky winners today for you to have your own copy. I might just twist his arm to sign it so that it's a special one, okay? Let's move on. Ntsikelelo Mabusela would like to know, how long did it take to rebrand? Good question.
Sure.
And was there a time in that process when you felt that maybe this is a mistake?
You remember we spoke a little bit earlier on about when we shared that anecdote about when I said to my doctor, this isn't me. So for me, the rebranding process actively began where I was in a bit of a situation, and I realized that I'm no longer this person. I had outgrown this role that I'm in. Also because I was almost typecast. And I had to break out of it, and that's why I actively then began to rebrand. But part of rebranding, it means making some hard decisions because you have to shed a lot. You know, if you have built a brand in a particular direction for 15 years odd, that's a long time. That means it's solid in the mind of the end user or your clients, right? So to rebrand has to be a gradual process, you know, but I think once you actively understand which brand or where you're trying to take it to, then you can sort of map out the gradual steps to get.
What was the hardest one to shed is a strong word, but what is which part of that older brand was the hardest to kind of dim?
I think if I may perhaps shift the question this way, you know, what was a sacrifice for me was having to turn down a lot of business that spoke to the old brand.
Ah, I see.
Do you know? So it was an expensive exercise.
Of course.
To say, you know, I'm no longer this guy, so I will respectfully decline. And being my business, it means I am actively turning down business that seeks to keep me in the same
And the new thing is also it hasn't gained as much traction perhaps at that point.
Absolutely.
So it's not like you got another option with as much cash,
This is the thing. So there isn't the perfect point where you can pivot seamlessly from one to the other, but you do have to make that, you have to reach that point where you make the hard decision to say, this is no longer in my business offering. It's almost like when you get to a restaurant. You know, when you get to a restaurant with Andile and you have a favorite dish that you like, you don't even look at the menu. You get there and you say, this is what I want. When the waiter comes back and says, we don't do that anymore. That's a hard cut.
No, it's hard.
That's a hard cut.
No,
but it works the same way in branding. Sometimes I cannot serve your tolerance for the gradual change by still doing things that sort of go against the old brand, and you outright have to say, this isn't what I do, but it's also an opportunity to say, this is what I do now.
I see. I guess it reminds me also of what the business doctor was saying earlier on about having faith. That word resonated with me.
Sure.
So back yourself, yes, but also have faith that this journey that I'm now taking is actually going to pan out.
That's indeed.
All right, let's carry on. Now, I've got another one here from Dinell. Dinell would like to know, Proverbs' work ethic is absolutely remarkable. Thank you, Dinell.
Thank you so much.
How does he do it, and what's the secret? Work ethic.
You know, I honestly answered that earlier with the statement, one thing at a time. And maybe I can expand on that a little bit. So I am very old school in that I keep a diary. And in my diary, I have my sort of monthly goals, which are then broken down to the weekly goals, which are broken down even further to the daily to-do list. And I work as simply as having a daily sort of to-do list. And by so doing, I try and be present in the one task and the one task only. If I'm chatting to you when I put Andile, I am present, I am here, my mind is on only this. And once I tick it off, then I would consult the old diary again to say, what is the next on the to-do list? And when I go and do that, I do only that. I try and be present only in that. And when you look back, you realize how much you've actually been able to complete. Absolutely. And all you did was you did it one thing at a time. This trying to have multiple things going. If you juggle, how does the saying go? if you have too many things in the
Oh,
air, you
yeah,
won't
yeah.
catch any.
Yeah.
There's another proverb that says, a man who hunts two squirrels, how does it go?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you won't catch either.
Basically,
exactly. But if I know that's the squirrel I want, I
that
chase only that squirrel, and I get it. Then I say, okay, squirrel number 2.
Got you. Well, there you go, Danelle. That's the secret, right? You asked for the secret. Last question. Olani Ngigis in East London, and he says, what does success mean to you?
Freedom. Freedom and peace.
You got that?
I am in the journey towards that. I think I have gotten my peace. I'm still working on my freedom.
The man's got his peace. He's close to his freedom. My brother, thank you very much. This is the other version. Well done. Thank you so much, you guys, also for joining us. I really appreciate you, man. I really think that this journey here, we start here. This is gold. It's gold because it's real. It's gold because it's authentic. It's gold because it's going to help so many people you may never meet.
Sure.
It's going to save so many lives you may not even know about, but you took the risk of sharing this. It's not an easy thing to do, so I really applaud you for that.
Thank you.
And of course, my brother, I have no doubt that in all your career and all the things you're going to set out to do, you're going to do amazing things.
Thank
So
you,
thanks
sir.
once
May
again,
I
bro.
please steal a gap just to say I appreciate this platform. I think there's a massive appetite for it. People are trying to engage on this kind of level. So thank you guys for creating a platform like this, and even more so for inviting somebody like myself on it. So thank you guys so much.
Pro to the verb, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there you go. Thank you, everybody. We got some winners as well. By the way, I'm supposed to announce them. They are right here. Connie Matlejwane at Real Konza. You are a winner. And also Karabo at Karabo Seduma. You are also a winner. And also Dineo Molokwane. You are also a winner. So your books are coming. I'll make sure my brother signs them. I'll find him. I'll stalk him. I'll get to wherever he is to make sure that they are signed, so that when they are delivered with your hemp, of course, we have some lovely I'm an Entrepreneur gear, including the mugs you're seeing on our set. We'll send all those to you in a jiffy.
Wow, guys, I think I'm speechless. Thank you so much. That was amazing. And well, the temperature has kind of increased as much as Mr. Cooler Than Cool is here. The temperature is up here in studio. Thank you so much, Proverb. It's been amazing. You're phenomenal, inspiring. You're somebody who's just traveled the journey and on your way to freedom. So thank you very much and all the best for that.
Thank you so much.
Well, as we are drawing towards the end of the summit, let's gather some wisdom from our Pearls of the Hustle segment.
So is there a relationship between being vulnerable and being a leader? Professor Brené Brown talks about the fact that we as leaders ought to let our guards down. Why? Apparently because 1, it's not a sign of weakness, and 2, it is not really a choice.
It is asking a lot for people to show up into a culture that can be uncomfortable because we're pushing and stretching. But what leaders can do is normalize the fact that, hey, I'm uncomfortable too. And this is courage, and this is what I'm calling you, and reward that behavior. For constructive feedback to be real, it should be uncomfortable because I am, telling you that things should be differently. So discomfort is really, I don't know what's happened with the culture. I think in the last decade, we've been in so much fear because there's been so much scarcity, political, economic, social scarcity. I think a lot of people were raised to believe that. It was modeled, I think, certainly in our culture. We see that a lot, that to be vulnerable, to be open, to be exposed is to be weak. And the truth is, what I found in my research is that vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, I would argue that it's our greatest measure of courage. When we went out and asked people, what is vulnerability? We heard things like, vulnerability is the first date after my divorce. Vulnerability is starting my own company. Vulnerability is taking responsibility for something that went wrong at work. Vulnerability is sitting with my wife who has stage 3 breast cancer and making plans for our young kids. Vulnerability is taking my business public. The definition I use in my work of vulnerability is simply uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. Vulnerability is about the willingness to show up and to be seen even when there are no guarantees.
Starting and growing a business is like running a marathon. You need to be mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared so that you can finish strong. Today we heard from some of the best in the industry. Hope you gathered some lessons from ourselves as an entrepreneur and as a leader. We encourage you to lead from the heart and not with fear. Your people are always looking up to you for guidance and wisdom. Don't be scared to fail and fall, because in that failure, there are so many lessons to be learned. Invest in the soft skills, because those are the ones that give you that competitive edge in business. It has been such a pleasure. It's been amazing being your host. And as we draw to an end, we want to engage with you. We want to hear more from you. So do check us out on our website for more content at www.iamanentrepreneur.co.za. Our next summit will be held on Saturday, the 18th of September, and the theme is funding, the big F word. You must make sure to tune in, because we want to give you something very comprehensive, something that you can use in your business so that you can grow yourself and grow your business. Look out for more information on our website and our social media platforms. Invite your friends, your colleagues, and let's make this circle bigger. From me, Matsi Modise, and the team, until next time.
We have two business owners, Karabo and Temba, who've come on the show today to find out from our panel of business bossers whose bank is keeping things real.
Temba, what does your bank cost your business?
You see, I pay R5 for the account and about R500 for the payment device.
And you, Karabo? Well, with F&B, their app turns my phone into a payment device, so our customers pay us on the spot. I also get Mahala Charge, unlimited card swipes, and a free business savings account that allows me to set aside money from my main account for future projects. Oh, and we can also withdraw money for petty cash at no extra cost from a Checkers and other retailers.
And the monthly account fee?
0 monthly account fee. That's why it's called First Business Zero.
Well, it looks like we've got a winner, ladies and gentlemen. It's obvious which bank keeps the costs low while running your business or even just starting up. One simple change makes a big difference. Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.